The Plan Commission meeting for Monday, April 10th, 2023 at 6 p.m. to order. Roll call and declaration of a quorum by Secretary Parker.
It's actually gonna be Chaya, but that's.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't even realize Valerie wasn't here. Sorry about that.
Cronin,
Here.
Zagami,
Here.
Ermeling,
Here.
Gert,
Here.
Jordan,
Here.
Mumper,
Here.
Pincinel,
Present.
Maloney,
Here.
Dave Deason.
He's here. All right, and then ETZ is built on.
He is not, no.
Okay, I guess I'll chair ETZ then as well. So I'd like to call the meeting to order for the ETZ Monday, April 10th, 6 p.m. Roll call.
Cronin,
Here.
Christensen,
Here.
Gert,
Here.
Hull,
Here.
Mumper.
Here.
Okay, public comment. I have 5 public comments here. It looks like they're all for an agenda item. Do all of you wish to speak at that agenda item, or would you like to speak now? I've got Deborah.
No.
You want to wait till the agenda item? Okay, Guy?
We can wait till it comes up.
Okay, all right, sounds good. Aside from these comments, is there anybody else online or in the audience that wishes to make a comment? Second time, anybody online or in the audience that wishes to make a comment? Third time, anybody online or in the audience that wishes to make a comment? Hearing none, we'll move along. Minutes from previous meetings. Item number 4, minutes from the March 13th, 2023 joint PC and ETZ meeting.
To approve.
Motion by Pincinel,
Second.
second by Jordan. On the question? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? So carried. Does ETZ need to approve that as well?
Yes.
So moved.
Motion by Hull,
Second.
second by Christensen. On the question? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? So carried. Communications, disclosures, and recusals. Members of the body should make any required disclosures or recusals during this time. Item number 5, written communications received. Nothing?
I have not received any.
All right. We will move down to public hearings. Item number 6, ordinance number 23-008. An ordinance to amend procedural requirements within the PD plan development and N neighborhood zoning districts. This is for PC and ETZ. I'll open the public hearing and presentation by staff.
So we brought this to you last month with the suggested changes, and it is now available for public hearing. This basically just changes some of the submission requirements for when we are dealing with one of the special districts, the N or the PD district. Those can be found, the changes are found on page 35. So I don't know if anybody has any questions.
I don't think I had anything.
Like what we discussed.
Yep, I agree. Is that anything else, or is that everything?
No, that's what staff is recommending.
Okay, public comment period. Anybody that wishes to make a comment online or in the audience on this particular matter? Second time, anybody online or in the audience that wishes to make a comment? And third time, anybody online or in the audience that wishes to make a comment? Hearing none, I'm going to close the public hearing. Recommendation from staff.
Staff recommends approval.
And discussion and recommendation to the Board of Trustees by the Planning Commission.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Gerndt,
Second.
second by Pincinel. On the question? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? So carried. Discussion and recommendation to the Board of Trustees by the ETZ.
Move to approve.
Motion by Christensen, second by Mumper. On the question? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.
That's all we have for ETZ.
You guys wanna stay or you wanna get out of here?
I can go.
Just a comment too, does somebody know if the speakers are working or not
No, it's only in these ones over here.
right now? So they're not yet, okay, so it's hard to hear, okay.
Okay, I'll try to be louder, Mark.
That's all right, you're
Sorry.
Make sure it gets better.
All right, then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn ETZ.
I'll second. I'll make a motion, move to,
Adjourn ETZ.
I'll second.
Motion by Christensen, second by Gerndt. On the question, hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So carried. That might have been a record.
I was gonna say, boy, you hardly got the seat on.
It's good, it's warming up and yeah.
All right, thanks, guys. All right, moving along, project number 202-30073, Sam Haugen, Riverside Land Surveying and 6207 RLSS LLC. On behalf of Shelley Drake, 2305 Cutoff Road, requesting a rezone of a 40-foot wide strip across the back of 2305 Cutoff Road from 2F, two-family residential zoning district to B2 Highway Business Zoning District, pin number 192-2808-181-0972. I'll open the public hearing. Presentation by staff and or applicant.
So basically, we have a request, it's probably best to put up page 46, so you can see. It's a 40-foot strip of land that's owned by Shelley Drake that is zoned 2F, would be taken off the backside of her property and added to a lot that is zoned B2 on Schofield Avenue. That lot is planned for some future development. They're just starting on the early plans for a mixed-use development. We haven't received anything official yet, but this would be attached to, that parcel would be a certified survey map. They can't do that until it's rezoned. So then they would purchase that 40-foot strip from Ms. Drake and her family.
Okay. Anything is the applicant online
The
or
applicant,
here?
Steve Stair is here, and then
Okay.
Nick has, that there is a like proposed kind of preliminary draft of the development that we included. That's on page 47, but
Okay.
nothing formal has been submitted.
Oh, I'm sorry, what was your name, sir?
Steve Stair.
Steve, do you have anything you'd like to add or?
Unless you have any questions, but this is one potential project where it's a retail, that's a retail building on this particular site plan. There's another one we have that's a mixed-use building that has, it's a 3-story building with apartments and first floor retail and parking. Again, it's all really preliminary, based on numbers ultimately, but, adding this 40-foot strip obviously will give us some flexibility with parking and, you know, anything water retention, snow placements, all that kind of stuff, so
Okay.
that's why we're asking for that.
It does give some additional, you can kind of see it outlined there, that buffer yard that is required between the residential neighborhood.
Okay.
So it'll basically be green space, and then that little building right now is proposed as a garage.
She's got signage.
Okay.
So what are we approving? Is this what we approving?
All you're,
or they
no,
wanna change
all
their
you're
mind and do something
approving
else?
is the rezone of the strip of land. So they would like to rezone that strip of land to B2 so that it can be added to the lot, so that it makes the lot bigger.
Okay. Well, before we get, if neither of you have anything else, before we get too far off in left field, I think we should open this up for public comment and then we can discuss that amongst ourselves if everybody's okay with that. So we're gonna move along to the public comment period. I have 5 different names here. I'm just gonna call these names in no particular order and have you guys come up and say what you'd like to say and we'll Please, try to limit it to 5 minutes. And, please try not to repeat anything anybody else has already stated, if you could, please. So first one, looks like Deborah Wayman.
Worman, but
Worm.
I'm not gonna.
You're not gonna speak? Okay, all right, thank you. And then I have Guy Gooden.
Podium. Okay, I'm Guy Gooden. I live on 2210 Cutoff Road. I've been there since 1963. So I'm a lifelong resident of Weston. I'm totally against this. If the road did not connect to Cutoff Road, I would be fine with it. But the traffic we have right now is unbelievable.
It wouldn't have access to cut off.
That, the drawing shows it access to Cutoff Road, if you back that up. I think he is correct. There it is. You see it on the right-hand side there? Right now, we have way too much traffic on that little road. It's really a little road. And with the chiropractic clinic there, and there was problems with that for years because they said when they built that driveway in there, they were gonna put a gate in there. Never happened. So traffic just flows through there like, yeah, we're done with the traffic on there. The only other alternative I had is that you make Cutoff Road a dead-end road on the west end. And then I'd be all for this project. To stop the traffic. That's all we want. We're overwhelmed. You know, Clay Schultz can't have a squad there every day, 24 hours a day, stopping people for speeding. Somebody's gonna get hurt or killed on that street. You don't need any more traffic. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just, if I could just make a clarification, so the west end, so you're saying down by Ross, they have like a cul-de-sac or something there?
I know,
So your access would still be able to come out to Schofield Avenue, right? Okay,
I know, I think, I can't say for sure, but I don't know, but Green Heck, I think, wants that. They already bought where there was a little house that they burnt down some years ago. They bought the sugar shack lot, all of that. I think they want all of it. So why not give it to them?
and they do have a roundabout scheduled for, right by the, down the hill.
Oh, yeah, right.
You know, so, and also on Palmer.
Okay, so we're gonna move, I have another form here for Daryl and Deborah Weirman. Does either one of, Daryl, would you like to speak? If you don't have to, if you don't want to, I just had two forms here,
Well,
so,
I think no, but,
okay. Just please step up to
I'm
the
just
microphone
reiterating
and
what Guy is.
could you just state your name and address for the record, please, before you start?
Yeah, my name is Daryl Werman, and I live at 2216 Cutoff Road. I'm Guy's neighbor, next door neighbor. And we live kitty corner from that entrance to the chiropractor's office. And there's always traffic, a lot of times in the morning, going through there into that driveway. And like he said, they were gonna put a gate in there and they never did. And adding another business on the end of our street, they just put the Caribou Coffee down there. So that's adding traffic. And we have a tremendous amount of speeders going through there. I mean, the cops sit in the driveway for the chiropractor's office, but sometimes they catch people, sometimes they don't. But they're going 60, 70 miles an hour before they get to the curb on the end of the street down towards the sugar shack. You know, they're flying down there. And if it could be possibly put it as a dead end road with the end of the shut off over by Ross Avenue, I agree with that. I mean, we'd be okay with that. That would eliminate the business traffic coming down our way, so to speak. They'd probably maybe take the Schofield Avenue entrances more so. You know, the traffic from the west side of town wouldn't be racing through, that cutoff road, you know. But I'd be more in agreement with the project if the road was cut off. That's
Okay,
with the speeders and that and the traffic.
okay.
That's my comment.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Brian Merrick, 2204 Cutoff Road.
Brian Merrick, 2204 Cutoff Road, been there for 23 years now. The biggest concern is the direct access off of that lot onto Cutoff Road. In my opinion, I believe that Caribou Coffee themselves probably added maybe 10 or 15% more traffic down our road. Not a lot, not totally outrageous, but I believe that's gonna up it quite significantly. Not opposed to the dead end on the other end either. I usually go that way. I can reroute myself. It doesn't really matter to me. But definitely don't want entrance right on the cutoff.
Okay,
That's what I got.
all right, well, thank you very much. And the last one I have is Shelley Drake, 2305 Cutoff Road.
Yep, this is my property, so I'm for it. I have signed off on selling that property, so. But I'm with Guy and the rest. Would love to see the road as a dead end. I've had my 3 boys, thank God they're still alive because of the people speeding up and down that road for years. I've lived at my house for 20 years. So I'm definitely not for the entrance on cutoff too. I looked at that. I don't know if that's gonna be a big difference. It depends what's there. It really does. If it's a residential, like they were saying possibly, I don't know, but I'm definitely would be in a proposed roundabout to make our road a dead end. That would be awesome. And so the question I got about my property being for sale is on the east side, is any of that wooded lot proposed to keeping? You said there's gonna be a buffer. Is there wooded?
I'm personally not sure. Right now, this is just public comment, so I guess that would be a question at a later time for the developer, if you want to talk with staff after the meeting. I'm truthfully not sure, so.
We don't have any, this is just a preliminary layout.
And I don't know, they're gonna have a final meeting on this, because I kind of like to know what business is gonna be.
Yeah, that won't happen. So basically what they're requesting is the rezone for that strip. They'll add it together, via certified survey map. It'll be zoned for B2 and then whatever uses are allowed. So they say they have a retail customer, but we may not even know who that is until they come in they could just build it as a shell and then they'll come in for a zoning permit later. So as long as it fits the B2 use, it basically is allowed to go in.
Okay, will there be any fencing requirements to separate their property?
So there's a 25-foot buffer, which is, it's like a landscaping buffer, or they can do fencing too.
So that is required?
It's required
Okay.
against your property because you're zoned R2.
Okay. So it'd be on their
What
property?
you're seeing is probably the buffer that'll be there. I don't know if it'll be them keeping the trees that are there or if they'll replant this.
Okay.
They have to go through a whole site plan review and then there'll also be a landscaping plan that's submitted, but that
Okay.
won't come until later.
All right. But yeah, definitely a dead end on a road.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, any further comments, either public or here in the audience or online or anybody else online or in the audience that wishes to make a comment on this matter? Anybody with their hands up, Michael?
No.
Third time, anybody online or in the audience that wishes to make a comment? Hearing none, I'm gonna close the public hearing. And we have recommendation from staff.
Staff recommends approval.
Okay. And then item F, discussion and recommendation of the Board of Trustees by the Plan Commission.
You have your determination.
We have to do it.
Yeah, correct.
Talk about the first one, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I guess my comments would be, it doesn't sound like anyone's against the development, just the traffic issue. I tend to concur with that. I'm one of the people that uses that chiropractor. If they eliminated that access to cutoff, I would just come in and out off Schofield. But currently, it's easy for where I try to get to where I live in Weston to pull out on the cutoff, go down to the corner, and instead of using the public street, cut across the parking lot, past Papa Murphy's and the closed video store, pull out on Alderson and head where I'm going. And I suspect I'm one of many people that, cheats the public road and uses a parking lot as a public road. And via cutoff to get over there. Would it be a bother to not use that? Not for me. It would just require going back on the Schofield Avenue, so I can see what they're saying. Because I think a lot of people besides myself probably cheat off of that cutoff through the parking lot.
So Jennifer, do you have any history of that driveway? They said that it was supposed to be gated.
That's a whole different development, so I don't know, that's the chiropractic one next door. I mean, we can look into it, but that's been there for a while.
I think there's a gate there maybe, I don't think, but it's not closed.
Are you talking about the old Draker, the LA or whatever?
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't have any history on that.
Was there a different preliminary plat? Because you said you thought it didn't come out the cutoff initially.
No, they've had a couple different versions, so, I guess I just didn't, when I was looking at the CSM, I was only looking at that one. And really, this is just a preliminary. I guess if you have a problem with it going off to cutoff, we're gonna need to know that, because this would be the best way for, the fire department to have to use their trucks to get in and out. They would just come in off of cutoff and probably out the other way. I mean, Marty's here. I guess if you have any suggestions for when we get into the review of this, we're still in the planning stages. Like he said, it could just be a retail building, or they have talked about retail, a small retail portion on the first floor with not underground parking, but first floor parking, and then 2 floors of basically multifamily apartments above. So a real mixed use development there. And then some of it will be garage parking and then street parking, lot parking. That was one of the ideas they had, so.
Well, I could see where they would have a concern if they have apartments there and they don't want to go out on Schofield Avenue. Cutoff Road is going to be a very easy exit and then get out up on Ross and go wherever. I just don't think either, if we don't want to close the road, that they can't have access on that part. If it's, emergency, maybe, but.
Do we need to narrow our focus to just what's here though? We're not talking about the whole site plan. All that was presented to the planning commission is just rezoning this 40-foot wide stripe. I think it's very dishonest and not transparent to bring it to us parts and pieces at a time and not say, hey, this is what we're doing. This is our whole plan. Not just rezone just this square and then we'll come back to you later after we have this square rezoned. But really all we can talk on, act on and
Yeah, because we have no
determine is
idea
just
what
what are we
this is
doing with
about.
this square? Do we approve or deny rezoning this square?
This will have to come back to us too, correct?
It can, it
It
will
can.
most likely because they're requesting, this is a redevelopment site along
Right.
Schofield Avenue. So my understanding is they're in the process of working with Kristen Fish to put together something for the board to look at for TIF funding to assist. There's 2 buildings there. There's a home and then the Robert Anton hair studio on these 2 sites. So yes, if the board gives TIF funding towards this project, then Plan Commission would have to approve.
But if they don't get TIF funding, then we may not see it again after today.
You can request it if you'd like.
Perfect. Michael?
I was just say Kristen Fish is online, has her hand up.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
We sure can.
Okay, there's nothing dishonest here from the developer's perspective about the final use of this site. We've been working really hard on the mixed use development with residential and commercial, but it's financially becoming infeasible. So I am feverishly looking for more support, and we're looking at different models. In the meantime, this developer does have other retail tenants that they're looking to place in Weston, and is trying to figure out what they can do on this site. So regardless of what ends up here, they're going to need that piece of property for the buffer. I just wanted to make sure that there wasn't a question about their integrity at presenting or not presenting the full project at this time.
Jim, did you want to comment on that?
Yeah, I still think that the way that this was brought about, well, we really don't know what we're gonna do, isn't the best way to come about it.
Well, this was in the works before, we were working hard on the numbers. This process had, gone through the plan commission schedule with Jennifer. And they could have pulled it off the table, but I think because they were on the agenda, they decided to move ahead with, seeing if this buffer could be approved, since they had agreement with the property owner. But the good news is they do plan on redeveloping the site to a higher and better use, which includes more property tax space and more density, which is what we're shooting for on Schofield Avenue.
Well, I don't have really personally a problem with rezoning that 40 feet or whatever. I just want to make sure that we get a chance to look at what the design and because if they can't be going off on Cutoff Road, or like you said, we'll have to do a dead end. So, and I hate seeing dead ends, but, I know that area. My mother-in-law lived down there and we used to take that fairly often, but, yeah, but I don't, like I said, I don't have a problem with the rezoning. I just want us to be able to look at the development before we actually approve what they have or find out what closing the road would do or whatever.
I would agree with Barb.
So how would we, Jennifer, go about discussing rezoning this or approving the rezone, but then have the site plan authority be the planning commission so that we can address the public's concerns and it doesn't just roll through staff?
I would just have you direct that it comes back.
Be requested in it.
Yeah, it's gonna go to the board and the board is gonna look at it for the TIF funding. So at that time, the board can also direct it with or without the funding. I haven't seen any funding yet. Like Kristen said, she's still working on it with them. So I'm not sure when it'll come to the board, but they should have a set plan or something better than this to provide to the board at that time. So I would just put it in here and we'll just bring it back. We'll just require it to come.
I mean, I like the fact that we're developing that area and the multi-use development, but you can't ignore the neighbors that have been living there all this while, so they have to have consideration.
What's the purpose of this rezoning?
The purpose of the rezone? To add additional land for the buffer.
Just for the buffer, not for the driveway?
No, the driveway, you can see that the driveway is not on that property. So if you go to page 47.
On 2304.
There we go.
Yeah, this is just being, no, so that parcel isn't even in place. That, they already own that all the way across.
This is the only chunk we're talking about rezoning is right here.
Right.
So they already have access out there. My understanding when we were talking to them, I think Michael, is there 3 accesses out on?
Michael, go to the next page.
Next page. Sorry.
Yeah, see Husheng? It's just that back section.
Yeah, I saw that, yeah.
Yeah, so they have 3 accesses out onto Schofield Avenue right now and 1 out onto Cutoff. Just on those 2 parcels.
So in theory, that parcel could be reconfigured, that you use the westernmost and easternmost Schofield Ave entrance. So you still have 2 entrances to the facility and not use cutoff. Obviously, you'd have to reconfigure the plan 1 sheet up and move the building to the east and change your parking lot around some. But you'd still have the same number of.
So there is an access to cutoff existing right now?
Yeah.
Okay. Marty, from a public safety standpoint, do we need to have an access on Cutoff Road? Or, I mean, in my personal opinion, looking at this, I don't see any reason that we can't get emergency vehicles to turn around there. I mean, it would be tight, might have to back them out, but.
Yeah, just the easier it is, the better it is, but there's a few places in town where it's really hard, especially at Schofield Avenue.
And I mean, the only reason I could really realistically see an emergency vehicle going in there would be an ambulance. I mean, if it's a large incident like a fire, they're probably gonna pull up alongside on Schofield Ave anyways. They're not gonna be pulling their rigs into the park. Just my 2 cents, but.
Excuse me. I don't think the main concern is the entrance. I think I even agree with that, is if it was a dead end. You can have multiple on there. It's not gonna make a difference.
I think
So I think it's mainly the road is cut off road. People take it as a cutoff. It's a shortcut.
Sure.
And it's been that way ever since I've been there and the guy's been there, so people just speed. So adding that's gonna add some more, but it's still gonna be, even if you didn't put that, we're still gonna have that problem.
Okay.
I was just gonna say, I think we have it's not so who puts the developer, who cuts the cost for tearing out the road and redoing it? Do you pass that on to a developer? And then the sewer and water, Michael, I don't know, did we look that up?
I was trying to, yeah.
Okay. Sewer and water might be looped back to Ross Avenue. So even if that would get eliminated and you shorten that road up and you've worked with Greenick, which I think is a brilliant idea, you still have sewer and water that ties in if there is sewer and water.
We got water that goes through there and sewer cuts over kind of between down the hill and the lot to the south of them.
It's a very fair point. Who pays for that?
Well, and that, I mean, it's a great idea because I agree with you. That road can be a little racetrack, to be honest with you. It really is. I get it. It's a cutoff road for a reason. I mean, it is a cutoff road to hit Ross Avenue. So people do get on it and you don't see anybody down there and you step on it. So the biggest thing I'm looking at here right now is ultimately we have an access road going out toward the prior home already. And we're not even attached to that lot, what we're trying to prove here, or what we're asking for. So we have to stick with what we're looking at tonight. We can't do anything about the other lot that they already own. That's a completely different situation. We're looking to rezone a piece of property on the backside of somebody's property has nothing to do with the existing driveway coming off of cut off already. So I'm in favor that we stick with our guns on looking at, when you're looking at this map here, we have to stay on track and look at what they're asking for a request for tonight.
Is that a motion?
I can make a motion for that, and then
Do we need to do the determination first?
Yes, we do.
This is not an Ambrose Group development though, correct? Termination form says it is, that's why I'm asking.
Did I miss it?
Where are you referring to, Jim?
After the determination, initial background information is the staff is contacted by Ambrose, I think that was probably from Gary
Yeah, I just
Yeah.
didn't
last
change
week,
it.
last month.
I will change it before it goes to the board, sorry.
No worries. We're all in this together.
Okay.
All right, termination, number 1. Is the proposed rezoning consistent with the comprehensive plan as is required by Wisconsin statutes?
Yes.
Yes. Number 2, does the rezoning further the purpose and intent of this chapter?
Yes.
Yes. Does rezoning address any of the following that are not properly addressed on the current official zoning map? Number 1, a mistake was made in mapping on the official zoning map, that is, an area is or has developed in a manner and purpose different from that for which it is mapped. If the reason is cited, it must be demonstrated that the discussed inconsistency between actual land use and designated zoning is not intended, as the village may intend to stop an undesirable land use pattern from being perpetuated. Number 2, factors have changed such as availability of new data, the presence of new roads, or other infrastructure, additional development, annexation, or other zoning changes making the subject property more appropriate for a different zoning district. Number 3, growth patterns or rates have changed, thereby creating the need for a rezone.
Yes, 2.
Yes.
Yes.
2.
Yes.
Number 4, does the proposed zoning district maintain the desired consistency of land uses, land use intensities, and land use impacts as related to the environs of the subject properties?
Yes.
Yes.
So I'll make a motion to approve the rezone and ask for a request that when the site plan comes back, that the planning commission has the opportunity to review that and discuss the access to cut off, with also having the developer understand that what the concerns are of the neighbor. And I guess the other thing is that it's just a matter of, again, the cost of who incurs the cost to do it, the dead end road. Not sure how that would be handled.
Did you get all that, Sarah?
Yes.
I'll second.
So motion by Gurn, second by Mumper. On the question.
I guess on the question, as far as closing that road, wouldn't that be a street rather than a planning?
Yeah, I'm just asking the question.
Yeah, well, that's.
Who's responsible?
Right.
Who's responsible for redoing the end of the road and making a dead end road? And I would assume, Hushain, you probably know a little bit more about this. Don't you have to go through the state to abandon that road? Or Michael?
No, we have to potentially vacate it, or I guess
Keeping it right away, just like.
you could keep the right of way.
Yeah, that's just the village. Just the village. But at the same time, I don't think we're talking about that. We're just talking about rezoning that section.
Yes,
We're
yes.
not talking about it.
Yeah, no, I think Barbara's asking that question is just,
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm not sure how the planning, I understand that the planning commission does these things, but we have to deal with the street department to find out what that all would entail or what,
yeah, and I think along with that, it may be a conversation, Jen, I don't know this or not. If it's maybe part of something within the TIF, that's an ask for some cost share from the developer, and I'm not insinuating that. I'm just saying maybe that, and Kristen Fish is on. If that is a requirement, that maybe that's part of it, but they're probably gonna ask for that grant prior to knowing what some of the requirements would be, I would assume.
Yeah, they'll go to the board before we have a site plan, similar to how ABC Weston did their project.
but I guess, we're talking about something that we're not dealing with right now, but if I was a developer and I said, okay, I'm gonna take off driveway access to that road, they still want it to be a dead end and it has nothing to do with this development.
Do you want like a traffic study to be done? A small traffic study? You have that purview to request it.
I think DOT has done the traffic study in the area. Isn't that part of it?
I have to see if they included cutoff road at all. I guess to Barb's point, whether this development happens or not, the residents are saying there's an issue, so.
Right, because if at some point he comes in with a development and he says, well, okay, if that's the problem, I'm not gonna do access to that road. And the residents are still saying, well, we still want a dead end road. It has nothing to do with this development.
Is that something we maybe just need to discuss at board level before? Yeah, right, exactly. So maybe we should have that, maybe we can have that conversation at the board level as a board and
Yeah.
figure out what we want to do from there.
But get maybe a traffic count, get, something. So we've got something to put our hats on,
Okay?
I call to order.
Okay, so we've got a motion and a second on the floor. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So carried. Thank you. Thanks everybody who spoke as well. Okay, business.
I think you should explain.
Oh,
The approve here tonight has nothing to do with the road or anything like that. It's just that portion, we zone that to give them more room for the property. So we're gonna have another discussion for this access to the cutoff.
yeah, and your comments were all heard loud and clear, so.
And you're welcome to come back to the meeting, please.
Okay, project number 2022-0025, special exception sign permit request by Nova Truck Wash to allow for a larger on-building sign than what is permittable in the LI Limited Industrial Zoning District at 4315 Transport Way, pin number 192-2808-282-0024.
Move to approve the increased size of the sign as presented.
I'll second.
Motion by Pincinel, second by Gurnt. On the question?
Yes, is that the sign, what you're gonna put in there?
Yeah, that's the proposed sign.
That's the proposed sign.
Yeah, we're almost 1,000 feet off of King Phillips Road, so it'd just be nice to have a little,
I know where you are.
little bit bigger sign.
Okay. Any further discussion?
No, so.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? So carried. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Yep.
Project number 2023-0085, site plan approval for commercial development at 3200 and 3202 Schofield Avenue, ABC Weston LLC, pin number 192-2808-173-0982. Dash marks went in there. Well, if Jim gets to be picky on that as well, it's not.
I'll put the dashes in there.
I'm kidding.
All right, so this is for the old Lane Northwest site, on the corner of Birch and Schofield Avenue. They did receive, TIF funding from the board at, I don't know if it was last month or the month before that, for this two building development. So the first building that they're looking to propose is the one that you're seeing there. That will have, Adventure Awaits. It's a CrossFit gym. And then the front portion is a small like restaurant area that will be more of like a health food restaurant that will be available to those in the gym and the public. They also have future plans on the site for a multi-tenant building that will run east to west on the site that will be built later. So this building will be run north and south. The second building, so it'll be kind of like an L.
Are they putting up the shell of the other building? Or are they just gonna leave
3
that?
years, I think.
Yeah, there's a time frame attached to it. I think some of that will depend on how fast the retail space, I think it's 8,000 unit. But I suppose they could also get combined into
Sure.
2 or 3. That tends to happen, depending on how, we don't have a lot of that kind of space left right now, so.
Right.
Is that tied to the tip?
Yes,
The buildings are tied to the, yeah.
I think there was like 115,000-ish for the first building.
I saw there was a
And
smaller.
35,000 for the second building-ish.
Yeah, because they're basically doing the entire site, putting everything in, the parking lot will go in.
Nick, are you presenting? The foundation is not gonna go in on that second one right away, correct?
Nick Bancic with Marathon Technical Services. No, the foundation for the second building would not go in right away. We would leave that grass area.
Based on demand.
Yeah. So I think he said once he has about 25% of that second building leased, he would go ahead and put that up. So.
Okay.
Yeah, your site plan. So you were able to, for concrete and such, after the fact, if they bust, I mean, they're probably gonna have to have some heavy trucks coming in there, obviously, right? On that second round.
Yeah, we would come off of Birch probably and just close that driveway off during construction on that second building, would be my guess.
Anybody else have anything? I don't have any further questions.
Yeah, Jennifer, did you have copies of the site plan or the staff review for that?
I did not print one off.
What are the parking requirements for the CrossFit and cafe based on square footage, minimum max versus how many are planned? And then based on the 8,000 square foot office retail, whichever, what are the parking requirements for that? Do we have sufficient parking here?
Yes, they do. Let me grab it. Actually, here's what the.
Yeah, I'm looking for it here.
Nick?
I have it right now, I'm supposed to know.
I don't have the exact numbers. I know when we originally proposed the project and it was a concept, Emily was still here and she ran numbers and we were fine. We've added a couple stalls since then.
So it's a maximum, so if
Right.
they exceed the maximum.
Yeah, I don't think I'm not gonna speak for them, but I don't think we're over the maximum. I think usually it's harder to get enough stalls on site than to get too many nowadays.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But yeah, so for the first building going up, both of the uses in there fall under that indoor commercial entertainment use. And for that, the parking requirements is one space per every 3 seats or maximum capacity of the establishment, whichever is greater. And then for the future,
So let's just deal with the first building first.
Yep.
So what is the
so
max occupancy of the building then?
So for the cafe, you're looking at 8 seats plus 3 employees, so you're looking at 11 spots there.
Wasn't there like five picnic tables or chairs or something?
Yeah,
So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So
No,
we don't
we-
have like
24 seats in the
We
cafe.
asked about that
Yeah.
and the owner said there wouldn't be that many.
You meant 8 parking stalls. 24 seats is what the owner said there would be. So they would require 8 parking stalls
I got it.
plus 3 employees.
So,
Yep.
okay, so we 11 stalls on the cafe side.
Yep, and then for the gym side of things, it's just square footage, which is 5,000 square feet for that, wasn't necessarily, you cut that by 300 and you'd get 20 spots for the gym.
Okay, so it's 31 stalls and how many total are in their lot?
53.
Okay. So technically, they have too many stalls based on just the first building, correct? So you can only exceed the minimum by 150%.
Right.
So you've exceeded the parking. I'm okay with it. I just want to go through this and make
So the
sure.
way that we did this is that we looked at the site plan as an overall site plan development, including the second building. So that we
second
just
building.
called it office retail space and that required 20 parking spots. So based off of the square
40, so that's 51, and you have how many?
53.
53.
So that include the handicap?
Yes.
Yeah, there's 4 handicap stalls.
And that's, there's a developer's agreement stating that the second building has to be done at a certain time frame.
Yes,
That
The
is.
TIF asked.
To get TIF funding.
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I did the
yeah.
TIF funding, yes.
TIF funding is contingent on them doing both buildings.
The second building does not have to be.
TIF funding.
But is it just the TIF funding for the second phase, which is a small amount?
Correct.
Well, it's based on square footage of each.
They won't get it until the second building is up.
The second.
100% of them, no, they won't.
But will they get something for the first building, and then if
Yes.
they don't put anything up for the second?
Yeah, because there's demolition on the first one, there's, you can
Right.
use all that.
So he's on the street.
But I guess I didn't quite follow what you keep saying.
Well, there's 2 portions of the TIF from what I read.
Mhm.
There's upfront for the first building, and then there's 100 and some thousand, because I imagine there's utility costs and such in there.
Correct.
And then demolition, and then the second phase would be a portion for that building, which is a small amount, I think it was like 30 or 40,000.
Yes.
Was it?
Yeah, but I think it was based on, I think the final version of the terms has been forwarded. So it's, I can look it up.
It's based on square footage, so if they build the second building but only do 75% of it, they only get 75% of that second TIF funding, if that's what you're referring to. It's based on square footage.
And I think maybe is that where you're going, Jim, is if they don't build the second building, they're grossly over on parking stalls? And are we really concerned with that?
I'm not, no, I just wanted to make sure, for sure, that if both buildings were built, do we have enough? It's not
Yeah,
gonna turn into
we
like
made
Dunkin'
sure
Donuts is.
That there was enough, because we were looking at that.
Where there's not enough and then we throw
By condition.
36 parking or 36 farmers market spaces in there.
So it says the developer has also requested and received TIF funding from the village board on 2/20 of 2023 that equals $115,470 for the first building and $34,480 for the second building.
Yes.
Yeah, and those numbers are per square, they're broken down.
Sure.
Per square foot, so.
Building mechanicals, those on the roof?
No, they'd like to put, for the west building that they're gonna do first, they'd like to put them on the west side of the building, all along the property line. I did ask the village if there was any setback requirements. They said no, they just have screening requirements. So once they figure out exactly what they have, we would have those screened appropriately.
Are you screening them with landscape or?
I assume they're gonna do landscaping. There's probably a fence option, but.
I just don't want it to look like another new facility that has 2 AC condensers 15 feet off the Schofield Avenue. It looks terrible.
Yeah, no, it would be further back, probably in the middle of the building-ish.
And it
sounds great to me.
And I think most of them you'll see as a nice decorative vinyl fence or something, or, and then landscaping in front of it to make it look nice.
Right.
Tree fence, the neighborhood dog in front of it, something that looks good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Were the entrance on the Birch Street, where does that align relative to the Schofield Oriental Market?
You'd have to pull up a Google map, but I think they don't really have a driveway, do they? It's just the whole street frontage is their driveway? I mean.
No, they've got an entrance on Birch also.
Oh,
Pretty close. It's pretty much across from their northernmost entrance.
Okay, one of the things I just want not that it's your decision, but I know, and I love the fact we're putting in development, but they've recently put in a restaurant. Well, I don't know if you want to call it a restaurant or whatever, but it seems to be getting a lot of traffic in the last year or so. And then looking at the development at just the several lots down at the bank, which would filter on the Mountain View, but probably on the Birch, right? Along with this development also, and that is a residential, I mean, most of Birch is residential, right? So in putting all this traffic flow onto Birch, are we, and I guess the question for Michael also, are we, I'm just looking for the residential people on Birch, are we gonna have the same issue where we've got going with some of the other areas here? And again, I'm very much, love the development, but it seems like if all these developments go in, we're going to have a serious traffic increase on Birch relative to.
Birch is is it a collector?
Yeah.
So you have to kind of expect higher traffic counts on that street.
Okay, and I'm not saying it's a problem, I just wanted to bring it up as something that, are we thinking about it?
Yeah, and there is a light there too, good point.
Yeah, so we're leaving the driveway right where it is now on Birch. Plus, our idea was it's as far north as we can push it to get away from the intersection a little bit, to eliminate any traffic issues that way, but both driveways are exactly where the existing driveways are for the property.
I'm just wondering if, down the line, we might have to look at a secondary traffic control at Mount View and Birch or. I don't know.
Where the stop sign is at.
Yeah. You got the soup, I mean, Pick and Save feeds that, the bank would feed that, this would feed that. The new restaurant feeds that. A lot of it is in that intersection.
I think the bank feeds that currently right now, because out of the drive-through you could go that way, but
They usually don't though, I think, but yeah.
the new site plan
Doesn't dump out.
Yeah, they're not gonna be able to get out on Mountain View.
They won't, no, that's that future development or whatever that would be.
Oh, okay, that was
on that north side, so maybe that'll help a little bit, but I know those people were concerned as well on traffic on Mountain.
Well, that's why I was thinking through this, we've already heard concerns from people as to,
Are the plans stamped by an architect or engineer?
Yeah, they're stamped by myself, professional engineer.
It didn't show on our packet, that's what
Oh,
I'm asking.
okay. Yeah, the cover sheet should be.
I didn't
Yeah.
include the cover sheet.
Perfect. There are overhead doors facing both roadways. Now, I am 100% in support of them. I don't want the applicant to remove or change them. But in the written statement that's in here, it says it meets all village design standards. Did something change on that, Jennifer? Are we still, did we change the zoning code?
There
are some decorative glass garage doors.
They're time and cellar doors.
Yeah, they're time and cellar.
Right.
But we're not really pulling vehicles in and out there.
No. There are some on the east side of that west building, way up on the north end. And that's mainly just for when they're exercising in the summer to get a little airflow and fresh air.
I'm 100% for it. I just.
Yeah. And then there is one on this.
Here that says it meets all the village standards. We didn't change that, right? That's maybe something we could put on to revisit and look at. Yeah, like right there's one.
Yeah.
Wasn't one off the cafe to the south too? Right?
That was the one you just saw, was the cafe to the south.
And one to the east.
And then there's two to the
Birch
east.
Street, right?
In the far right corner of that bottom picture there.
I think they're great. They look awesome. It's gonna be a great addition to the building.
Nick, are those actual glass ones like the front or not?
No, the back ones would be more solid with some glass windows, just up high. Yeah.
I like it. I think it looks great.
Yeah.
I do.
Landscaping, where are we at on the points for that? It looks like we're over, right?
What page is that plan on, Jim? Five. 82. Those other doors will be covered up anyway, Nick, once that other building goes in, so you won't even see them, right?
Yeah, once the second building is up, yeah, it would be hidden.
But you'll want them to get equipment in and out and roll tires in or whatever, right?
Yep.
Absolutely.
Just, airflow and just, maybe wanna put something in there for refreshments or whatever, just anything.
I think they're a great idea.
don't have the landscape points in front of me. I know Revi
They're on the
typically
bottom
does
right, I
it
think.
per Weston standards, so.
Sure.
Jen, I'm assuming this as, you guys have to approve those landscaping plan anyways. Have you had time to do that yet or not?
We just received it
Okay,
late for the
so,
packet, so,
yeah,
I mean, it's fine. It exceeds the,
But like they could peel some stuff out, right? They have extra points. 650 out of 567, 947 and 900.
Go
I don't know, I mean, you guys can spend as much money on trees as you want, but
I mean, we just review it to meet code. If they exceed it, this is a project that they got money for, so they should be exceeding on something, I would think, but, so that's, all we're doing is checking it to what they need to have.
the trees that are shown in the right of way, do you guys plan on keeping those trees? I know they belong to the village or in the right of way, but they look terrible. They're not groomed nice. They're gonna hide your sexy building.
So, well, there's two different kinds of trees. There's the ones Michael's pointing to right now, that clump of like 4.
Yes.
Those are planned to stay, I believe. Those are more towards your monuments. The ones to the west are more of the clump of scrub pine trees. I don't know what kind of pine trees. Those we plan to remove, and the village did approve that at staff level.
The building is sprinkled, right?
It is not. There'll be a firewall between the cafe and the gym space.
The trash enclosure, is that just chain link with slats, or is that?
No, we submitted a plan for that. I believe it's gonna be similar siding as the building, so solid fence, or solid siding, I should say, to match the building. And same with the fence along the north property line to the neighbors would be the similar siding.
And then Jennifer, are we good with elm trees? I thought that was on the no-fly list.
No, elms actually do pretty well in our boulevards compared to a lot of the other species.
Oh.
The really nice ones right by like Pick and Save and Target, those are elms.
Good enough.
Yeah, and they are the Dutch elm resistant ones too.
Got the super strain.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm good.
I'll entertain a motion unless anybody has anything else.
I move to approve the site plan for ABC Weston LLC as submitted.
I'll second.
Motion by Mumper, second by Gerndt. On the question? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So carried.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right. Hey, how soon are you guys starting? Pretty soon?
Yeah, yes we are.
Yeah? I saw you guys had snow and stuff cleared. How soon are you guys getting started over there?
As soon as the bids come back.
All right, cool.
It's coming in hopefully in about a week, so then we'll be going right away.
Awesome. Sounds
Nice
good.
to see that parcel,
Thank you.
looking at that eyesore.
I agree. Staff reports, want to take them independently or concurrently?
Move to acknowledge 10 and 11.
Second.
Motion by Pincinel, second by Ermeling. On the question? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? So carried. Miscellaneous, item number 12, project updates.
Not sure we have much more to update since last time, still working on the same projects. We all know Project Timberwolf is pending, and we are making a TIF request to be coming to the board at some point here.
Is that coming on next week or no?
Possibly.
Okay.
I think it needs to come soon. Kristen's on the line, she may know. I guess similarly, she's also working on one with the Lockery development, which you heard the rezoning on earlier today. So I know there's something in the works on that as well. Details are forthcoming. Still, I know she's working with Intercity State Bank, and I guess aside from that, I know we've got a contact about another redevelopment potentially west of Patriot Auto. We're gonna be meeting with the owner of some property there later this week and find out what it is they have on their minds, I guess. Also talked to Kristen about how we may market former municipal property. That's our goal, just to find out what that would all entail. So,
the asbestos deal is done with that?
I'm sorry?
Your asbestos study, that's done?
It's still pending. I gotta make sure we get that going, but should be done shortly.
Are you just waiting for reports back, or you have to hire somebody?
Yeah, we'll be getting already out of that. Okay. Just been slow getting done, so. That's all I have, unless you have questions. I know Jennifer, you got probably more to add.
We have a few things. It seems with the nice weather that things are picking up more. I'm just not sure when it'll actually be coming to you yet. I haven't gotten anything back from the bank. That was supposed to come for May, but we don't have anything additional to review. I did get a conditional use permit for a personal storage facility off of Transport Way. There's a vacant lot that went along with the contractor condos that Weisman owns. So we're just kind of still talking to the DNR because there hasn't been an updated wetland delineation there to see if it pays to go forward until they have that. So that may come next month or it may be October. So we are working on a 7,200 square foot addition for Badgerland Industries. That's on Fuller Street. Fuzzy's Taco Shop is still out there under review.
Okay. I keep waiting to see what it is.
Yeah, so there's all kinds of stuff kind of in the hopper in different phases.
Okay.
That's all I have.
We did have the bid opening for the Weston Avenue East Phase last week, and construction bids were about $1 million less than estimates, so.
It's good news.
That's
Good news, yes.
Who got awarded the project?
Integrity Grading is the low bidder.
Okay.
What's the salt shed status?
So we're working on getting a couple alternatives out bid. Looking at that, the fabric structure, but with a couple different foundations. And then probably just take the one that's the most economical once the bids get in. So we should have that by May, so we can get it built yet this year.
Okay. Anything else? No? Announcements and committee commissioner remarks. Mr. Gurnt? Nothing. Mr. Jordan?
So what was the sense with the parking and the voting here? For you guys over here all day long?
Well, I think we can make some changes going forward and make it work. I think there's a way to get more people in the building and get out of the weather. Parking is an issue no matter what location it goes to. I know at Weston Lanes, they don't even like the parking in the front that's between Schofield Avenue and the building. They have customers, bowling and so forth, so. President Maloney met with PM Bream, our clerk, and I this morning, and kind of went over things. And I know there's changes we could make. We could probably work on directing parking and, again, getting people in out of the weather. I know that was kind of an issue on election day this year. And you can bring them in, kind of sneak them down the hall, and some of those, channelizing devices like you have at the airports, you know, that kind of stuff. So I guess it's kind of, it'll be kind of a work in progress, but there's always the after action kind of, but could have done things differently, had more voting machines available. And I think one of the things that slowed it down too, I think was Pam's observation, was the 3 referenda on there that people took time to read. Maybe didn't understand them. So I think she said that probably took people longer to vote than they may have normal. But I know earlier in the day there weren't people utilizing that north part of the parking lot. Later on it got full. We started parking around the sides. We could probably do something in another election where we get more assistance on directing cars and maybe get a shuttle together. I don't know, or put people into the, through the shop. I don't know. I think there's different options we can look at.
Yeah, well, I was encouraged by the turnout that we had, and I thought it was a great first test, so. So I'm encouraged that you're having some dialogue about that, and I'd sure like to see you make it work.
I talked to Pam too, and she had said that there was a bigger turnout than what they actually were anticipating.
Right.
So that, made things, and she said they're just going to make sure that no matter what, there's more voting booths and voting, but the traffic is the big one. I had quite a few comments from people on the parking and the traffic.
I know myself and the rest of the board got at least one email.
Yeah.
Too, so. Anything else?
No, thank you.
Mr. Pinson?
I would echo Joe's comment. I think it was good. We had a great turnout here, but could be improved a little bit. Parking is part of it. Get people in the building. I don't know if you snake them around through here, or you could have 15 or 20 people standing in the hallway and that's it, and the other 40 are standing outside. Or snake them through the conference room here, with your TSA pre-check line.
I think the idea was maybe to get them down the hallway and
by the lunchroom.
you come out that door's there and down back the hallway that is between the lunchroom and the garage, then they sneak back, I guess, then at least on the.
Sure. Never been there. Didn't know that part of the building existed. It's locked.
These 2 rooms are used for voting.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Thoughts on, when we do these justifications, I'm not saying that we shouldn't do them, but should we ask the applicant to do that too? Do they think this is a error in mapping, or do they think this is a change in development? Wouldn't it make sense to have the applicant fill this out also? What does the applicant feel that the justification for a change in zoning, or what's the other one we do? Zoning and we do 2 different
Conditional use?
Yeah, and conditional use, same sort of thing. Like, what does the applicant feel that they need a conditional use for?
Because we tell them they need it.
I understand that, but our justification may be different than
Basically,
theirs,
that's about
right?
it, yeah. Short, long, yeah.
Yeah.
Because that would be pretty much, would be my response, would be because you require it.
No, I understand that, but have them answer the question. I think I need this because of a change of development or a.
Oh,
I think if it is back of the building, you probably use it as a detention pond. Because you can't bring the water from back of the building, turn it around, bring it to the front. So.
No, Bushing, I'm just saying, as part of the rezone request, ask the applicant to also fill this out. Okay, maybe not. Yeah, that's all I got.
It's an idea, but I don't know.
Roy?
I just wanted to comment that it's really pleasing to see the development and the use of the TIF funds being effective. I think as a planning commission, I'm glad we pursued that route because I think definitely some of these projects, but for those funds, I don't feel like they would probably come to fruition.
I agree.
So.
Barb?
Well, kind of thing. I just was listening to this plan and thinking, oh, it's gonna be so nice to get rid of that eyesore on Schofield Avenue. There's a few of them that are there and it's just not a very attractive area. You know, and I'm really pleased to see that we're going forward with that.
Thank you. Shane?
No, I'm good.
I've got nothing. Next regular meeting date, Monday, May 8th, 2023 at 6 p.m. And then the municipal center open house is the following Saturday, May 13th, from 10 a.m. to 2. Put that on your calendars.
Yeah, thanks for mentioning that, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all right. It's on here. I got it.
Oh, that's true, it is.
All right. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right, so motion by Ermeling, second by Gurn. On the question, hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so carried.